For instance, if people in Rebirth realize there is a possibility where time and existence are paused, might they sacrifice themselves to reunite with lost loved ones? Think of characters like Leslie, or Dine, or even Elmira. They might make that choice if it meant reuniting with their lost loved ones. And then we don't...
Let me stop there for a second. So, chat, that's something that is just sheer speculation, right? And so it is this idea, if they become aware that there is another existence beyond their current existence, those that are in great grief, it would be a really interesting kind of side quest sort of thing to see people that are trying to sort out their grief by, shall we possibly cross over? Can we cross over to visit those loved ones, right? I think that that's a really interesting concept. It's kind of heartbreaking, right? And so, and the thing that really gets me, and we're not quite there yet in our playthrough, but chapter 14 with Leslie and his lost loved one, if she is gone, we don't really know, right? That would be a really interesting arc. And the thing that kind of got me thinking about it was back in the OG days, just playing that game, when Dine wants to take his life and his daughter's life to go and meet his wife, right, who has already passed on. Says we're going to go and meet her, and I think that could be expanded in this kind of theory of theology. If there is a stasis and they become aware of it, can we cross over to that thin place to experience life with those we have lost? Again, that's kind of dark, but I think it would be really interesting. Okay, we'll finish up.
Know yet how these two realities will interact. Will they cross over at all? And if so, will they appear normally? Or will those caught in stasis appear as specters or whispers? And if that's true...
Okay, let me stop there for a second, because this is actually a question that I get a lot in the comments, and so that's why I like having this face-to-face, well, face-to-screen sort of thing. I kind of propose, like, if there are these others that are in this stasis, I'm not going to necessarily call it afterlife, because I don't think that they're necessarily dead, but I think that they're halted, kept from returning to the planet. Now, that could be totally wrong, but if that's the case, and Eligor is a sense of foreshadowing, I think it would be really interesting if, and this is spoilers for chapter 18, when you are facing off against these kind of whisper, leaders, I guess, harbingers, if you click on the assess materia and look at their info, their bio, I think it's really interesting to that they say that these are life forms in another timeline, another existence, right, that are fighting for their own survival. And so if there is a stasis or a life stream that feels as though it is in some ways being threatened, right, if they feel threatened in this, then what are they fighting? Like, they're fighting for their own existence. So, like, we immediately think of those in Advent Children, which is the sequel movie. We think of characters that are in the future and stuff that are fighting for their existence, fighting the party members to not change fate, right? But what if, in Rebirth, those that have allegedly died, right, are reawoken or reborn in this kind of stasis, and they become aware of it? And so the question would be, if Cloud and Aerith and others encounter whispers in Rebirth, they're going to have less power than they did in Remake. And is it possible that that Zack and others may appear as whispers to the party because they are in this kind of stasis? Now, I think that's a crazy theory. I personally do. But we have seen specific scenes in Rebirth trailers where there are whispers whirling around. We know that they exist in Rebirth. But what if they are powerless? A, they can't guard fate anymore. What if, number two, they are somehow trying to usher and lead Cloud, Aerith, and others, and to help as much as they can from there, because they are consistently gathering in thin places where Aerith and maybe even Cloud can hear them. There's one trailer where Cloud says, presumably to Zack, "You were here. 5 years ago, you were with me. Where are you? What happened?" And how interesting would it be if Cloud had that conversation with Zack as a whisper, but he's recognizing, like, this is the life form of Zack, right? And what happened to him? What happened to you? Why are you in this form, right? And so that's kind of a bewildering sort of statement. I wonder if that's what's being said in that particular trailer. We've got that. Yeah, most theories out there, and listen, it probably is that, but this is the way that I've kind of reckoned with this. A lot of theories of parallel universes. Zack is alive and Stamp is different. The one thing that kind of made me think that it might be something within the Lifestream and not just like a different timeline, different world, maybe a different world, but like a different timeline sort of thing, is because in one of the Ultimanias, it talks of Palmer felt Palmer writes, he's doodling in a meeting drawings of Stamp, and is it possible that a Terrier Stamp is one of those drawings that he originally did, right? Just in this meeting, and it was scrapped, right? But the Lifestream remembers. It's memories of all things and all things that exist, ever will exist. And so that's why there would be a Terrier in the memory of the Lifestream, because it was a maybe scrapped memory. It doesn't necessarily mean it's dead. It just means that it's stasis, right? A very, very different thing. I want to show this other trailer to you real quick. It's the end of this trailer. I want you to listen specifically for what Cloud says to Zack, and I want you to imagine if it is him talking to this kind of whisper, Zack.
What we've done, that's set in stone. The past is forever. But the future, even if it has been written, can be changed. So focus on the future, not the past.
It could be.
He wants to finish what he started. He wants to reclaim his birthright.
Reclaim.
Over the planet with Jenova at his side. I saw you lying there. I figured it was too late.
Wait, what are you implying? That I died? That I'm some kind of imposter?
You were here with me.
Here it is.
5 years ago. Where are you? What happened to you?
Do you hear that? You were here with me 5 years ago. Where are you? What happened to you? Y'all, I'm not necessarily theory crafting, but if that is him talking to Zack and he's in a thin place and he's like, he's not supposed to remember who Zack is at this point in the story, right? Or at least for where we know it's going through Rebirth. So there's something that happens there. Now it's possible that he could be talking to Tifa. It could be that he's talking to somebody else. But I really do think it could be that he's talking to Zack, right? It really could be that he's talking to Zack. And if that's the case, that could be amazing. So where would that happen in the game? I think it's possible. There's a part in the Temple of the Ancients where you're going through and you find a little purple pool. And you go over to the pool and Aerith is looking into it. And she's able to hear, hey, thank you for the follow, Dark Cloud. And thank you for the bits. There's been a lot that happened during this, but thank you so much, everybody. Aerith is looking in there and she says, I see the forms of the Cetra, the Ancients. And she's able to kind of communicate with them, but she's not able to really understand them. What if it's through this pool that they are able to maybe talk with Zack or talk with the Ancients, the Cetra, or whoever else is in there at this point? I think it could be a really interesting illusion. I made this video about thin places because I think these thin places are going to be super, super duper interesting and important in Rebirth. Crazy, right? Insane theories. We'll finish this trailer just to finish it out.
I'm trying so hard to find you.
Now, that part is Aerith. She says that exact phrase in the gold saucer to Cloud. But it is interesting that they really highlight that phrase here. And it could be, if it's not spoken to Cloud, which it most likely is, she could be looking for Zack. She could be looking for a lot of things. But I really do think it is. I think that we will get a Cloud and Zack reunion, but there's going to be a veil, right? I think that's got to happen. But again, this is all theory, speculation at this point. We'll finish it out.
Sorry. Feel like I failed you.
Sorry, I feel like I failed you. And that could be Cloud speaking to Zack. It could be Cloud speaking to Aerith. There's a lot of things that it could be about, right? And I wonder, when is the first time that Cloud and Zack and Aerith are going to speak? Because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. This is major spoilers, by the way, for the original game. And just for what we know in Remake. The final thing that I kind of said in my video about Sephiroth's endgame, and this is what I really want you to think about, is if you have these disparate existences, you've got the reality and you have the stasis of the planet. Sephiroth says this is the merging of worlds, right? This is the merging of worlds. Why would Sephiroth call Meteor, right? And this is what I think. It's not to destroy the planet, but it is, like I said in the video, to create a wound for the planet so great that the planet cannot be cured. But why is it talking about worlds merging? Well, what happens if there's a stasis that Sephiroth has caused, perhaps by the elimination of the whispers or cutting that slice in the reality of chapter 18? If he has any control over that stasis and is able to absorb it, but those that are in this reality, like the party is, if they are able to kind of control their fate, then Sephiroth wants them all to enter into the other. So what is his goal? It is to kill and destroy everyone and everything so that they all will then fully exist in this other stasis and reality. And then he then is able to maybe returned fully to the Lifestream, but it's stasis, if that makes sense. They're not able to fully return. So, anyway, it'll be really interesting. Now, again, I like I said, I really try to avoid theory crafting, but I feel like this is more in line because I've talked a little bit about, this is a lens to see this particular chapter and what are the implications. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of idea of it. We're all just riffing and Meteor, a second Genova of sorts. Yeah. Like the Phantom. Yeah. These are all great ideas. As far as the title of the third game, we don't know. Before Crisis Core Reunion came out, I was ready to call it Reunion. Right? I think that would be perfect, but they're like, no. And so now, I don't know if you saw my tweet yesterday. I think it's going to be Reclaim. I do think it's going to be Reclaim. And my pal MJ Gallagher, he found a trinket or an accessory that is in the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth trailer, or not trailer, like the gameplay demo that a lot of people have been playing or something like that. And one of the accessories is, or maybe a pre-order accessory, something is called the Reclamation Necklace. And he threw out Reclaim. And I like that because in the first one, Sephiroth is remaking the world. In the second one, presumably, you're the world is Sephiroth, or excuse me, Genova rebirths the world. You are rebirthed into the world, so the rebirth is in there. But then what happens when the party's at their lowest point? They have to reclaim their world from Sephiroth, right? I think that that's an interesting... It could be interesting. But it also could be complete BS, and that's where we are, everybody. This was fun, right? Like it's not every day that I get to like talk about the videos and kind of my behind the scenes stuff with it. So thank you for humoring me. I hope it was interesting for you. But with that, we're all just making stuff up. That's exactly right. We're all making stuff up. It's theories, but it's just speculation and fun. And that's what I want to tell people. I'm not sold to anything. This game could be a sequel to the original. I personally don't think it is. But if it is a sequel, I'm not going to be upset. I'm not going to be, because like I love what they're doing. And what we do here in this stream, we're going to talk and geek out. Yeah, lady, we're going to geek out about this. I'm ready for whatever Rebirth throws at me, even if it hurts my feelings. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, I come from the world of academia, right? During my dissertation, during classes and all this stuff, like I said earlier in the stream, we're all just trying to make some sense of things. So we offer ideas, we offer these things. Why do some people think that it's a sequel? Here's why. Because Aerith and Sephiroth have a knowledge of future events. That is the number one thing. And number two, the Whispers, seem to be interpreted as trying to maintain the will of the original game. Like all of the events of the original game, the Whispers are trying to coerce the party into keeping those things. Right? Jessie's not going to go on that second mission, so they like sprain her ankle. They're always trying to do that. And so that's one interpretation, but that's why I made my first video, because it's like, no, it doesn't have to be that way. It could be, but it doesn't have to be. The reason they think that's a sequel is because it necessarily depends on the original. And this is a riff of the original. While it's not necessary to watch that, it is necessary for it to exist. And so that could be an interesting way of doing things. You know, it's like we're going to create this new story, but we're not going to nullify the story that people loved since 1997. So it's just an interesting way of thinking about it. Here's what I know about theories and what I know about this game. This game introduced significant cognitive dissonance to the fandom, where everybody has had to be like, okay, like this is not the story of my original playthrough of the game, and we're all reckoning with it. And so some people have come down to the line of yeah, we're playing a sequel, and that's how they've reckoned with it, and they're okay with that, or not okay with it, whatever. Others of us are more like, no, this is a remake. It's just an expansion. It's an expanded reimagining of that original story, filling in every possible gap and director's wish. So here's what I'm saying. All of these things are the way that we deal with that cognitive dissonance. I see it as a professor all the time, and as a leader of groups with students, because there ain't no cognitive dissonance like there is from 18 to 22. Amen. So that is, you see it every day on a college campus, people coming to terms with the reality that is changing. So I think to a degree we are the Whispers. Yeah, that's a really meta sort of statement. Like, these are the fans that are trying to hold on to the original. That's a meta interpretation. I think all of these interpretations, right, are valid, you know, because they're all our lenses through which we see this game and we try to make sense of this game. And can I just say this? How cool is it that we all know this story from 1997? I've said it before. I've played this game once a year, at least once a year since 1997. And we are still finding out new things about this world, and we are still speculating. What a gift they have given us to say, you loved this story, think about it more. Like, we want to tell you even more of this story. And I just feel like we've been given the best freaking gift in the whole world, that I can return to these characters and they feel fresher than ever. We can experience Midgar up to this point. We can experience the open world in Rebirth. Like, I just love that they've given us this, and I may love it more than if they had just given me an up-res fully voiced version of this game. I think it is mind-blowing, and what a time to be alive, you guys. Like, what a freaking gift. And like, every one of us should be like, whether we are afraid of what the next installment's going to bring or whatever, what a ride it is. And we should just say, hey, thank you to these devs, because they have done an impeccable job at keeping this community not only alive but growing. I mean, look at Racy, look at who else? Jedi over here. All of these have come to love and appreciate this game. They're brought into this having no understanding of the original. So, just thank you to the devs. Thank you for this amazing journey that we are on, and such a gift. So anyway, make sure that you're kind to people. We're all trying to make sense of it, but be especially kind to the devs.